Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Crazyhead Episode 1. See, this is the show I was thinking about when I was reviewing Zombo. When I said that this actress, I remember I saw her in this show and I couldn't remember what it was. This is that show. And I remember initially I didn't like this show, only like one episode. So I decided to give it another chance and rewatch it, and the pilot actually wasn't as bad as I remember, like and stuff. I think like the main problem I have with this show is that like there's no real like action. It's just a comedy horror show with like really no action. And with the problem with it being a comedy horror show is that not all the jokes land and not all the jokes stick. And so it's like you watch it and it's okay and it's interesting, but it's like with no action and the comedy being kind of just like hit or miss. I just really wasn't feeling it. But after rewatching it, I'm like, okay, yeah, so like yeah, the pilot is like pretty good, so I'm gonna rewatch the whole thing. So the pilot, it starts off in a very creepy, scary way. There's a girl. She's in the back of a trunk. Her hands are tied. Her mouth is gagged. And she's hollering and just screaming. And the only part of the car you see moving is like near like the side, near the wheel and everything. And then you see the road. And it's just driving and driving out towards like nowhere, and it's creepy. She is horrified. She is terrified. And I remember seeing this. I think I was like, "Oh my god! Like, what's going on? Like, what is this show about?" Because the show is on Netflix, and they got canceled after one season. And so I'm just, and it's supposed to deal with demons and stuff. I'm like, "Oh man! Like, what's going on and stuff?" And so then, like, the trunk opens and all you see is like these two people with like clown mask on, creepy clown mask. And it's like, oh man, I thought this was supposed to be something about demons, but I guess it's something about slashers or something like that. And so I'm just like, what is going on? And so like they drag her out, and they have kind of like I think they have like baseball bats or something like that. And so they're dragging her out and they're dragging her out, and she's just like squirming around, and those two are just standing still. And then next thing you know, she's able to free her mouth restraint, and she's all like, "Amy, I know that's you. That's my jacket you're wearing." And I'm just like, wait, what? And so Amy takes off her mask, and Amy's just like the sweetest thing you ever met. And then the other girl named Raquel, she takes off her mask and she's more comedic and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, well, now what is going on? And that's what the same thing the girl Susan, she wants to know what's going on too. And so Raquel tells her, we're gonna perform an exorcism on you. I'm just like, what? She doesn't even look like a demon. And so like then she gets a phone out. She's like, this is how you perform it. You have to pee on her. And Amy's like, what? And Susan's like, okay, this part's funny. So this is one of the jokes that actually do land and everything. And she's like, why don't you do it? She's like, because I can't go right now. You have to do it. So Amy's like, oh, fine. So Amy walks over. Amy has a skirt on. She walks and she crouches over Susan. And Susan's just kind of like, And then next thing you know, Amy pulls down her underwear and she's just like waiting to go. And then you see Susan's face and all you hear is pee. I'm like, oh man. Oh God. So it cuts from that to Amy's in a psychiatrist building, and he's talking to her, I think about like increasing her medication because she says she's having these visions again. And he's just telling it's all in your mind and stuff like that. Then it cuts from that to like a nightclub. And we see Susan. This is like, okay, when it cuts to the psychiatrist, this happened like 3 days earlier. And so now it cuts to like a club later on at night. And we see Susan and we see Amy. They're all dolled up. And Susan's kind of like talking to this guy she's into. And then we see Raquel from a faraway distance. Raquel's always wearing a purple jacket no matter what episode it is. And so there's a guy walking. He's like this evil looking dude. He just looks mean and grumpy. And then he spots Raquel and she freaks out and she runs out. And then so when this guy passes Amy, we see it. We see he's a demon. Like his face just like shifted. I gotta say, the prosthetics on these demon faces, amazing. Amazing. They look so real. And what's so different is this demon is a lot different than like it's prosthetics and it's CGI. See, it's prosthetics, and then like where the wrinkles and the crinkles are in like the face, it's lit with CGI like light and everything. That just looks amazing. Something I've never seen before. And so he goes out into the parking lot and he's looking for Raquel. And then so Amy's talking to her friend named Jake, and Jake's just like this dude who's always trying to get with her and everything. He works with her and stuff. And so then Raquel, she starts fighting like the dude, and she has like a police nightstick and stuff. Geez, I don't. I just watched this and I kind of just forgot already. I don't think she kills him. Yeah, she like beats him up and tells him he like better run or something like that. And then, but while he's fighting her, Amy had went out to the parking lot for some reason and she oversees this. And so like, I think Amy ended up getting hurt because he tried to like attack Amy or something like that. And so she's all shooken up and she's talking to Susan, and then they take her to the hospital. And when they take her to the hospital, she's talking to this one doctor. And this doctor, I remember him from so much stuff. I think his name is Colum on the show. Like that's not his real name, but he's like Dr. Colum or something like that. And see, if you remember the movie Underworld Evolution, he played Marcus. He also played Priest in Blade 2. So this dude's always doing some type of horror movie, monster, something, And so he's talking to her and everything. And we can tell there's something weird going on with him. We don't know what, but it's just this weird feeling, eerie feeling. So then when she leaves the hospital, no, I think she leaves the hospital the next. No, she leaves somewhere the next day because she's in different clothes. And when she leaves this one building, there's Raquel outside waiting for her, and she's all like, "I see them too." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "The demons. You're not like seeing things." And Amy's just kind of like, "No, whatever. It's just a hallucination, like the doctor says and stuff." And so like, and then Raquel's all like, "You know what? When you're ready to believe, give me like this, give me a call and I'll give you my number." And she writes like her name, like on her number on Amy's arm. And so like the next day when Amy's at work with Jake, and she hates her job by the way, but she has to have it because that's the only way she can pay her bills and stuff. And she works at a bowling alley. And so after he leaves and that she locks up and everything, there's a guy there. I think it's that same demon dude from the other night. And so she starts to hear like somebody bowling and she's all like, we're closed and everything. And so he shows himself and then he's slowly walking to her and his face is like so demonic and it's freaking her out. And she's walking backwards on the bowling lane. Then she starts running and she tries to go underneath where the pins are. And so he grabs her and then she's like struggling and then he's like pulling her back. And she's able to grab one of the pins and she just whacks him as hard as she can. And then she just starts like hitting him and stuff. Well, eventually they make their way outside and he takes off running. And when he does, he gets hit by a car. Driving the car is Susan because she was supposed to pick Amy up. Susan is mortified. She's like, "Oh my God, I just killed somebody," and stuff like that. And so she stands over his body and she's looking at him and he gives her the strangest gaze. He's just staring at her. Then he closes his eyes and he dies. And Susan just has this weird state in her. Like, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, she's upset because she just ran over somebody. She thought she killed them. And then when she's in the ambulance and they're checking on her, she looks afar and it's Dr. Collum. He's looking at her and he kind of gives her like the nod. And then she kind of has like a smirk on her face and she gives him the nod back. And it's like, whoa, what's going on, you know? So she's also, like I said before, she's Amy's roommate. So when she goes back to the apartment, Amy's like in her pajamas and she's getting ready for the night. And Susan just creeps up behind her very slow and grabs a belt. She's like, do you need a belt with this outfit? And Amy's all like, why would I need a belt with my pajamas for? Then next thing you know, Susan just strangles Amy with the belt as hard as she can. And then when Amy looks at Susan's face in the mirror, Amy's face has been turned like demonic and everything. Somehow she got possessed when she looked at the dude's eyes and everything. So Amy's able to free herself and she takes off running in the middle of the night. And she ends up at Jake's place. And this is what the funny part happens. Jake sees her in her like nightgown, not nightgown, but whatever she sleeps in. It's like a shirt and some really short shorts, and she's barefooted. And she's all like, I ran here like from my place and I didn't stop. He's eating a hot dog without a bun or bread or anything. Oh, those old college days. Anyway, so like he's eating it, and before she can say another word, he puts the hot dog near her lips. He's like, shh, 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 don't say another word. He thinks that she was in the heat of the night, ran over in her pajamas to come get herself some. And he's just like talking and talking. And every time she tries to talk, he just keeps rubbing it more on her lips and stuff. And she just kind of like, and then she lied. She was like, I locked myself out my place and I need a place to crash. So like, but he did that barefooted. She's like, yeah, I'm crazy like that. Or something like that, she said. And so he realizes, oh, I'm not going to get nothing. So she calls Raquel up and they have a chat in like a calf. And Raquel tells her straight up, you know, demons are real, this and that. I call, and all blah, blah, blah. And she said, well, the demon dude called me a seer. And Raquel hates that word. Basically, that's what it is. It's when humans are able to see demons, they call them seers and stuff. And every time they find a seer, they kill them. Because, you know, they don't want to get, like, exposed and everything. So, like, Amy tells her about her roommate. And she's all like, well, we got to perform an exorcism. She's like, do you know how to do that? Like, no, just look it up on the internet. And I think she'll be fine and everything. So then we see Susan at her place and there's a knock at the door. And there's a pizza on the floor. And so she goes to open the pizza. It's empty. When she raises her head up, boom. It's Amy and Raquel in the clown mask. And they kidnap her. And that's the part where the beginning comes. So they're driving and talking in the car. As they're driving, the guy Susan wanted to sleep with, who she does end up sleeping with earlier, he's in the car next to them. And he's all like, oh, fancy meeting you here. And then he hears a weird noise in the back of the trunk. It's like he's all like, is that a person in the back of your trunk? And Raquel's like, no, it's my dog. And then she drives off. And then and then she stops at the light. And he comes up at the next light. He's all like, is it safe to have your dog back there in the trunk? She's like, he's a pit bull. Do you want to find out how rough he is or something like that? So then, you know, they're talking some more. And what is it? So anyway, it cuts from that. And then we see Dr. Collum. And he's talking to these two guys. And one of the guys has blood on the top of his forehead. And they're talking about how they weren't able to get the seer and all this other stuff. And somebody like failed in the mission. And then he shows them like a trophy and everything that he got. And I think he whacks one of them with it and kills them. So he's kind of like the head boss demon dude. So then back to Raquel and them. They perform the exorcism. Amy pees on her. Raquel's chanting. Amy cuts her Susan's hair. She cuts her finger to get some blood. She sets the hair on fire. She puts the blood on her forehead. And then Raquel's like, oh, we're done. And then Amy's just kind of like, well, how come, like, there's no, like, special effects and all like that? And she's all like, it probably takes a while. But then we start to see Susan starts to, like, morph in this demonic kind of way and everything. And then I forget kind of what happens. I don't, and then she, like, dies or something like that. After she turns into a demon, she says something and then she dies. And they're like, oh my God, like, she's dead. Like, this didn't work. So then now they have to bury her and stuff. Now, something I forgot to mention. Earlier, at some point in the middle of this episode, we see a guy. He's just staring. Okay, now I remember. Hold on. The two guys. That was talking to Dr. Column. I think a fight broke out earlier. And then there was this guy who helped break it up. And this guy, so early in this episode, I completely forgot about this until I just remember the word daddy in my head. So there's a guy, he's standing, he's looking at Amy from a faraway distance. His face turns into a demon, a car passes him, and he's gone. And then, so this dude, he's back in his place, and he has a picture of Raquel. And that's the dude they was looking for, but he interfered and everything. So yeah, at some point in time, there was like a fight that broke out, and he interfered. This dude is Raquel's dad. And what's weird about this is that he's a demon. So she's half demon. That's not the part that's weird. What's weird is Raquel is about as dark can be. And this dude's white. So how is he her dad? I don't understand that. She's not light skinned whatsoever. I mean, she is dark and everything. There's no mulatto in her. But her brother, I forgot to mention him. He's in this episode too. At some point in time, after Amy and Raquel meet up at the calf, she goes back to her place, and her brother's there. Now, he's light-skinned, so that kind of makes sense, if that's his dad and stuff. And so, when, Raquel's brother sees, like, Amy, he's, like, into her, and Raquel can see that, and she's kind of, like, irritated by that and stuff. And so, like, but she says she's totally cool with those two, like, bang or whatever. But, yeah. So, that was, yeah. So, it's like, it wasn't as bad as I remember. Like I said, the only problem I have is not every joke sticks. And it would be nicer if there was, like, more action and more, like, explanation. Or, like, not too much. They explain a lot, but they don't show. And that's kind of like what I hate. I'd rather see than hear. And if I want to hear it, then you better give me, like, a good, like, sounding person who can hit some monologues and stuff like that. But this is a British show, and it only lasted for one season. Apparently this show got rave reviews and positive reviews, but yet it still got canceled by Netflix. So, that wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.